Hi kids, it's Bunny again with another junk journal, and this one I call Blush. Has a lot of pink and roses in it. Let me pull out a little bit. It is hardback and has a pretty lady on the cover and some roses, and there's a, I'll show you that in a second. Let me take this pink sash off that's holding it together. It's quite chunky. I try not to make them chunky, but they wind up being chunky anyway. Anyway, let's readjust our shot here. And inside there is a flip out in which there's a journaling card. All journaling cards are blank on the back, so you can journal on them. And a little envelope. Inside I have some vintage buttons. Little teeny card of them. Another journaling card. A tag. Tags are also blank on the back, so you can write on them. And here is a little note about this journal, which I've written to inform anyone who's not sure what a junk journal is, what it is, and how to use it. So the graphics in this is from a Shabby Rose kit by Victoria Designs on Etsy. And in this first tuck we have some journaling cards. There's your pink roses, and a tag, and a piece of vintage ephemera, which is, this is from 1935. It's a receipt of some sort. We have lace on the edges of some of the pages, and there's a little heart charm, and up here there's a charm that I made, picture charm of a rose. Oh, skipped a few pages doing that. Some vintage papers. Here's some coffee dyed ledger paper. This is handmade paper with flowers in it. And here is a pocket with a journaling card and another little envelope, and in it are some vintage stamps. And this is a vintage, from Vintage Magazine, ad from a Vintage Magazine, and it flips out to give you more journaling space. And it is this is from well, I've forgotten her name again. Edith Holden. Edith Holden, from an Edith Holden book. She did lovely illustrations. This is a square doily, and I've made it into a pocket. And there's a journaling card and a vintage photograph. And there's some coffee dyed vellum paper. Makes a nice crackle. And it's a page from a vintage little book of things for kids to do in cars, I guess. And here's some vintage, from page from Vintage Ledger. We've got little clusters here and there. This is a vintage, like, I don't know what you call it, but a ticket thing. And I've just got some little blank pages in there you can write on. It's a little booklet, sort of. It's from a vintage children's book of music. And here is a big pocket in which I've put just some pretty paper to write on. Here's a cabinet card of a distinguished gentleman, vintage. And this is from a vintage magazine. It's illustration of Marlene Dietrich. And I'm not sure. I think it was the 30s magazine, the date. Some music paper, vintage. And in this pocket is a journaling card and a little, what do you call it? Flashcard. And this tag has a pocket on the back with another little journaling card. And more vintage book, more vellum with lace on it. And here's more of that square doily with a journaling card. And this is just not vintage, just something to write on the back of. And more Edith Holden. And in this pocket, there's a journaling card and a vintage photograph. And it's got, someone wrote a little note on the back. And a tag. And here is a covered paper clip which holds a vintage ticket. Some fabric ruffle on the side here. More of the Victoria Designs graphics. And tag. And here is a vintage check. 1933 is the date of this piece of ephemera. This is vintage wallpaper. Doily, some more coffee dyed ledger paper. I made this pocket from corrugated cardboard, and it has the usual. And this is, what is this? A purchase. Something from 1918, 1917. And it's just some nifty green paper, vintage book paper. This is vintage book paper. I put some embroidery things on it. And in this little glassine envelope, there's a couple of little things. Here's the page from Bird Book. It's shorthand. This is music, player piano music paper. Vintage, of course. And this beautiful, beautiful ribbon, sari ribbon from India. There's a journaling card and another journaling card and a tag with a pocket on the back with another little card. And here's the vintage receipt from 1939. And this little bag is a vintage photograph. A couple of fine fellows in their hats. And here's a pocket with a journaling card and a vintage ticket. There's more of the vintage wallpaper. More vintage book paper. Here's a paper doll you can cut out if you like. And a vintage ticket. And a vintage check. 1887, I believe. Okay. Either that or 81, I can't tell. And in this, there's a journaling card and a tag and vintage ownership certificate from the Treasury Department. It's like, it's vintage. More vintage book pages. More Edith Holden. Just some pretty paper. This is a vintage French liquor label that I've glued on there. There's a pretty ribbon rose heart, and it has a pretty journaling card in it. And in this big side pocket, there's, let's see, there's a pretty card, an envelope, greeting card, blank, I think. Happy birthday. And this is a cover from a Singer sewing machine manual. Very, very old. Very, very old. At least from the 20s. If not before. And more handmade paper. And in this pocket, it's a journaling card. And this is just a little thing you can open up and write in. And there's a little envelope and it's got some vintage stamps in it. More Edith Holden. Need to go a little faster because my back is hurting. Vintage photograph of the Crumps in 1929, question mark. And another tag with a pocket on the back. Peekaboo. In this tuck, there's a pretty journaling card and tag, and this is from a library Dewey Decimal card. Old map. This paper, I'm not sure what it is. It might be like Tyvek or something, but it's very, very smooth and really feels nice. It's not vintage or anything, but it's just really cool. And another card, and this is more vintage wallpaper. And this little bag, there's a couple of little tag and card. And there's more vintage music for player piano. Here's a vintage playing card, a journaling card, and there's a tag, and another vintage check, this one from 1914, fragile. This won't be so chunky if you take the things out, if you want to use it as a journal. Taking the things out will make it more like a normal book. A normal book. And this is a vintage recipe you can write on the back. And a vintage ticket, agent stub. Not good for passage. Sorry. In this little bag, there's a casino chip. There's more vintage wallpaper. More of that neat, smooth paper. paper. And there's another French liquor label. And another ticket. And we're coming to the end. Oh, we're at the end. At the end we have a journaling card and a little mini journal. And there's actually a second mini journal that I will include, but I didn't put it in the book because it was just so chunky. I just couldn't put anything else in it, but I'll include it to the buyer to the side. And that's it. That's the blush. Hope you like it. Visit my shop, Treasure Journals, on Etsy, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.